Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining us here in the Rochester Press Box. Bill Pucko with you, along with Tariq Spence, Pat Duffy. Tariq, how you doing?
I was feeling great because I still have hope as a Giants fan.
Yes, you do.
Yes,
Actually, we'll
I do.
talk about that,
Yes.
Pat. Good first week, huh?
yeah, it was.
Number 11.
I
think Rob Johnson.
Yeah, that's exactly who it is. We're exercising all of the Titans' demons this week. The man who had the win in his back pocket walking off that field in the playoffs in 1999, and that's all we're going to say from that point on.
Okay, then that will be.
No special
week one.
teams? I'm sorry.
Best takeaway from week one of the NFL. There was a lot going on.
Best take. I mean, the Giants won a game they shouldn't have won and have a different feel with Brian Daboll in there as their head coach. I went into that game thinking to myself, we're going to lose this game. I'm prepared to lose this game. I have no confidence we're going to win this game. Then we gambled. Riverboat gambled. I'm talking 2-point conversion, and then defense wasn't able to hold them. Long field goal, but it's at home. You know what it is, the turf. Guy misses it. It was a feeling of I was jumping around in my living room. The Giants won that game. Hopefully this is a turn from Saquon Barkley.
A lot of street cred for Daboll going for the 2 points in the win, don't you think?
But it's a feeling. What did he do something? Did he do some sort of Ted Lasso thing to my Giants to make them feel a little bit better about themselves going into that game? I think this is it's interesting. We'll give it another 2 to 3 weeks. It'll be good to go going forward for my New York Giants. But I do want to get into head coaching later because I think that's the thing that is huge. I've never seen so many head coaches questioned on the hot seat in 1 week, the first week.
What do you take away from week one?
It was really interesting to see what happened between Pittsburgh and Cincinnati, right? Cincinnati, they make that Cinderella run to the Super Bowl, and you open up against a division opponent. Granted, division games are tough. It's opening day. The egg they laid, Joe Burrow specifically turned the ball over, 4 or 5 times against that defense? I mean, that entire overtime, they didn't have TJ Watt.
But for a point after touchdown or a couple of, shank field goals, they win that game anyway.
And by the way, if they have their long snapper, they win it in regulation, right? I mean, it's no big deal. It was shocking to me that the Bengals, they didn't rest on their laurels, even though they made it to the Super Bowl. They went and tried to improve that offensive line, and Joe Burrow did not look good with all the weapons that he has. Maybe he's not the anointed one that everyone thinks he's going to be.
Think next year's preseason, you think players that were out for a little bit, Joe Burrow, one of them with that appendectomy, will play a little bit more. We'll get a little bit more time in preseason. A lot of rust in week one.
Yeah,
Did you see the record? They said the guys that didn't play in the preseason, quarterbacks that did not play in the preseason the first week of the NFL went 3-8.
Okay, but that can't be a legitimate thing. Josh Allen threw 3 passes, and we saw what he did last week.
Yeah.
Well, and I agree with that, but there's a number that if you want to play with it, there's a number.
Well, I also saw another number, too, where it's the top 10 quarterbacks in the league ended up winning 3 games combined. But hold on, 5 of them played each other, right? They were all just facing off against each other. So skew it a little bit.
And I love the Cincinnati-Pittsburgh game because I've always felt this about the NFL. You spend a whole week putting in a game plan, watching film, you're doing all the stuff. You're going to do this, you're going to do that. They take the field, and all hell breaks loose, and none of it matters.
The perfect example of that is what happened Monday night between Seattle and Denver. Geno Smith plays the game of his career, which makes you wonder, if it wasn't for IK and Polly smashing his jaw in New York, would we be talking differently about Geno Smith? That was the first season opener. I didn't know this. He ever started in his career, and they're chanting his name in Seattle as the Super Bowl champion that lived there forever is leaving the field in defeat.
It's only 1 week, but I've never seen so many coaches on the hot seat so quickly. And I'm talking about coaches, Bill Belichick questioning yet again this year, at the beginning of this year, all the different things that are going on with Denver now.
Yeah,
with
Hackett. The guy, he's got 1 game under his belt. And they said, it's time.
But you gave so much money to Rustin and you don't trust him at the end of the game to get those 5 yards. That's going to define you for the rest of the season.
Every Bills fan knows that Nathaniel Hackett hire was a terrible idea because that game,
they know him.
The way they managed that game, that was a Doug Marrone football game. That was a Doug Marrone kicking a 64-yard field goal with a $250 million quarterback on 4th and 5, 4th and 6 is a Doug Marrone move. He should have punted. Would have been a better move than kicking that field goal.
My thing was Green Bay. I thought, we've seen with Josh Allen how much of a difference Diggs makes in the way the game goes. Him and Green Bay without Devontae Adams and what happened to Green Bay. A couple of years ago, what was it? He said relax when things weren't going well. I don't think that applies right now. I think that's a team that's got some real issues.
But it's interesting. So the Packers started that way before. What did Rodgers say? Relax, we win games, they make the playoffs, and they're good to go. Now this goes back to Matt LaFleur. It's supposed to be some offensive genius here. It's supposed to put this all together. So it looks like Aaron Rodgers might slide off on this thing for the next couple of weeks or so, but who wasn't in camp? Who wasn't sure that they were going to be there? Who didn't get those wide receivers ready? That's on Rodgers than LaFleur, but LaFleur's the head coach.
Look, I would love to see the way Aaron Rodgers has handled this the last 2 years with his teammates. I would love to see the collapse. Let's keep in mind, last year they went into New Orleans, they got the doors blown off on opening day, and he won an MVP. So pump the brakes on the death of Aaron Rodgers.
This is the Rochester Press Box. We're talking Buffalo Bills next. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here in the Rochester Press Box. Our Buffalo Bills segment brought to you by Ralph Honda. For 3 generations and celebrating 50 years as New York's oldest and best Honda dealer. Visit Ralph Honda today. Find out how we do Honda right at ralphhonda.com. I played this game with myself every week, Pat, sort of like handicapping games. I used to be real good at this. And I thought, okay, Tennessee coming into Buffalo for the opener. I thought 6.5 is probably the line. It comes out at 10. Like, oh my goodness.
I think if Tennessee would have beaten the Giants, it would have been 6.5. No, I was just as shocked as you were to see that 10 points. And you and I, being degenerate gamblers that we are, that 10 points makes me very nervous, but that's the only thing that is making me nervous about the game against Tennessee on Monday night.
You know, this was the best team in the conference last year during the regular season. They were the top seed in the playoffs.
2 years, back-to-back years, top seed in the playoffs.
Very scary, though, the fact that much time off. It's good for the Bills that they play, but they're coming into Buffalo, which is going to be a pretty charged atmosphere. And Tennessee, that loss is a stinger. I mean, that's a real tough one. They could have won that game as well, so they might come in a little bit harder. I think Vrabel's going to run them through the ringer when it comes to practice this week to get ready for that game. I don't know if they have it. That offense looked very, very good.
Well, so that was the Giants game, right?
Yeah.
Titans. So you watched it closely. What do you expect out of Tennessee coming to Buffalo?
I have a very big concern for Tennessee running the football. Henry did not look good in that game early on. Usually he gets better as the quarters go on. I didn't see that burst there. He actually went into the 10 early in that game, so I'm not quite sure if he's okay. And, of course, Tannehill, you can get a good game, you can get a bad game. Plus, that Bills defense is well-rested and ready to go. I don't know if Tennessee has the weapons to keep up with Buffalo.
7 sacks, 3 turnovers, including a fat guy interception from Boogie Basham. Hey, do you know how to make your D-line dance?
No, how?
Put a little boogie in it. Oh. The bottom line is this. When you're able to do that against an offense that looked the way that it did in winning a Super Bowl, what chance does Tennessee stand on Monday night? At least the Tennessee offense we know.
It is still, you know, that. For me, I'm going to do it.
He's going to do it.
For me, it's Buffalo's coming off as good as they can be. Tennessee is coming off just about as bad as they can be. And when those things collide, they tend to go the way of the team that played poorly the week before.
Okay, so let's break down the fear. I completely understand where you're coming from. The 10 points makes me very nervous. The fact that this is a team that has been the top seed in the AFC playoffs the last 2 years. The fact that the Bills have not found a way to beat this Titans team back-to-back years. I mean, you have the COVID game, which is strange, but then the banana peel game where Josh slips on that final play, right? I mean, right. I get the fear.
I was unaware that had an actual name.
I would like to credit my brother Ryan. That was his name, the banana peel name. But no, I mean, look, they're coming to our house. It's opening night with 72,000 fans. Josh Allen at quarterback. Again, like, the timing the Bills had against the Rams, you can't stop that. And if you can, Josh is going to pull it down. He's going to find Gumby Gabe Davis running with his long legs that no one can stop, or he's going to go run for 7 to 12 yards. Like,
you're giving the 10.
I am. If he doesn't, I will.
Then you probably both will.
Win no 10. I can't with 10. I can't. 10 is too much. No, I mean, look, that if the Bills win this game, which I think they're going to, this reeks of backdoor cover by the Titans.
You gotta be honest about it. It's 2-1 on you. Then make your case.
You're gonna get no. I'm just gonna keep texting him. They're gonna be up by 10. They're going to go up by 15. They're going to go up. And then by the end of the game, they might bring it back down to 9. And, of course, he'll be right.
But no, that's what it is. Duffy is telling you this is a 16-point lead all game into the fourth quarter, and garbage time Tannehill chucks a pass and they cover the 9 points.
You guys text?
No, all the time.
You don't text me.
Oh, wait, you weren't in that? You weren't in that group, Ted?
Must have been intercepted.
Our Buffalo Bills segment brought to you by Ralph Honda. Like it or not is next. Here's the Press Box Trivia question brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390.
Hey, hello again. Mike O'Brien, your getaway guy. You ready for another getaway? Well, I've got a good one for you. Today I'm in Jamestown, New York because I love Lucy. And if you do, look for the getaway guy on Facebook.
Here's the Press Box Trivia answer, brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here on the Rochester Press Box. Time for Like It or Not. Just like it or not, look, Amazon Prime exclusive rights to the Thursday night football games. They're taking it off live TV.
I like it. It's something
Not live
different.
TV,
well, I mean, it is live, but it's not broadcast live through broadcast channels. It's through the internet, which a lot of people are doing right now. It's something for Amazon. It's something different. You put together these teams. If it's a terrible nightmare, then we know what not to do next year. If it works and it's
What would
different,
make
it's
it a
fine.
terrible nightmare?
I don't. The announcer's not gelling, and even if they didn't, I guess I would just put it on mute.
Yeah,
I mean, and watching the background.
They have a great matchup.
But they do. It's the only way you can get the game. So even if the announcers are terrible, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. Yeah, no, I mean, it's going to be fantastic with, we're taping this before it runs, but
Fantastic?
Chargers, Chiefs? I mean, come on.
Yeah, but to me, it's a bigger picture. It's like they're taking this off network TV, and there's a certain segment of the population that cannot watch this game.
Yeah, but they can.
Or
They can.
any of them.
But but they can. If you have some of these accounts, you can do it. And a lot of people are going to these subscription-based broadcasts, which is something that's going on even at the high school level and other different areas. So they can. You just have to be a little bit more tech savvy on it. But I just think that fantastic is in the matchup. We'll see week 14. We'll see week 15. We'll see down the line if it is.
All right, to your point, Bill, I remember a time, and it wasn't all that long ago, where E.J. Manuel was starting a game in London at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning for the Bills.
Mm-hmm.
And that game was exclusively on Amazon. It was one of the first ones ever. And I remember sitting in the break room on CMF, and I was freaking out, and I was angry about it, and I went to the bar because I didn't have the ability to watch this at home, and we were watching it there.
The bar at 9 a.m.
Well, yeah, where else would you be on a Sunday?
Of course.
Church.
From that point...
Did you really want to say
That's all right.
I went to Catholic school. I got enough.
Football is a religion.
Yes, there you go. From that point to now, it doesn't even faze me anymore. I have an ESPN Plus subscription that I use to watch NHL games that are only on ESPN Plus. I watch tons of college sports on ESPN Plus, whether it's basketball, whether it's college football. For me to pop on ESPN now, it's the same thing for me to pop on ESPN Plus or Amazon or Hulu or whatever.
So you're saying they did a good job sliding this in on us?
I mean, look, we had no choice. We had to either adapt or not watch sports, and I'm not going to not watch sports.
Think about the fantasy end of this. Think about the gambling end of this. You'll find a way to watch that game.
Let's put it this way. I mean, the Sabres are going to run their prospect tournament every year that they broadcast live on Facebook, which I have figured out how to get up on my television, and I'm not the most tech-savvy person, but I will sit and watch via Facebook Sabres players that will never see the ice drafted to the 8th round because that's the only way I get to see it.
I kind of spring this on you, but a quick like it or not, the Los Angeles Dodgers, who are now already champions of the National League West.
No, I mean, good for them. It's been a dominant season, right? I love this story for what the Padres tried to do, thinking they were going to be able to catch him. And a very smart man said a couple weeks ago, why are they making this trade? Why are you sacrificing so much? Oh, it's only just 1 year smaller than me. Oh, you'll see that 1, 2, 3 line is going to be so great.
That was Aaron Boone wearing it.
Was that
right?
me?
Yeah, it was.
I don't think it was me.
I was doing Aaron.
I don't think. Let me just tell you this though. Mookie Betts is fun to watch in baseball, and he's the reason why I root for the Dodgers. No one else.
Without their two best pitchers, 20.5 game lead with a couple weeks to go. Unbelievable.
They gained 10 games on the Padres since that blockbuster trade. Gained 10 games. What is going on?
Thank you, Fernando Tatis Jr.
This is the Rochester Press Box. Unfinished Business is next.
And I meant to mess up your name. The Press Box Stat of the Week is being brought to you by McArdle's Restaurant in Fairport. McArdle's is open 7 days a week with dining available indoors and out, takeout and delivery. Come home to McArdle's.
Came now to Eichel. He floated one.
Thanks for joining us here in the Rochester Press Box. It's time for Unfinished Business. Pat starts.
It's easy to look like a genius when you're working with some of the best that ever did it. Just ask Bill Belichick, for example. Once again, I'd like to remind you that his career record without Tom Brady is sub 500. But something interesting happened over the weekend. on Sunday, his career record post Tom Brady hit 500. So he is under 500 as a coach before he got to New England. He is now not above 500 after coaching Tom Brady and him leaving. And the fact of the matter is this, what I've been arguing for years and have been screamed at for it. Bill Belichick is an average NFL coach. In fact, he has similar numbers to Jeff Fisher. Is Jeff Fisher a first ballot Hall of Famer? No, he is not. You know what Jeff Fisher didn't have? Tom Brady to play with for however many decades. It is amazing how enamored we got with what Bill Belichick was doing when there were players taking less money to play with a guy who was arguably the best quarterback that ever played this game. Watch what's happening now and watch what happens forward. It isn't age that's doing this to him because it's a similar arc his career was taking while he was in Cleveland before he got to Tom Brady. It's the fact that he was a pedestrian head coach the entire time who managed to sell himself really well by not saying a damn thing. He still doesn't say a damn thing because it's now, but because now he has nothing to say because he's a pedestrian head coach that was never what people thought he was to begin with.
One of the things we love to do is gamble, and I love to see players gamble on themselves. Joe Flacco did it back in 2013 and resulted in him going to the Super Bowl with no contract and a brand new contract after winning the Super Bowl of somewhere in the neighborhood of about $120 million, $50 million guaranteed. That's a player betting on himself. That's exactly what Aaron Judge is doing, and that's exactly what Lamar Jackson is doing. Now, for Judge, it's going to work out. He's going to get a boatload of money, way more than what the Yankees were going to offer him before the season. For Jackson, I'm not quite sure yet. Still doesn't have that contract. It can go one way or the other. But I love to see players put it on the line, basically saying, this is my year to go get paid. It goes bad. Go look up Michael Conforto. But it could also work for you in the near future. So the ultimate bet on the player is the real reason why I watch certain players perform well and root for him.
Roger Maris hit 61 home runs in 1961, 61 years ago. Maris is a person of interest these days as Aaron Judge chases down his American League and New York Yankee home run record. Maris stood 6 feet even, Judge is 6'5". Maris weighed 195, Judge is almost 100 pounds more. It hardly seems a fair fight. In fact, Maris has always seemed miscast for this kind of statistical drama. It was something he wanted no part of 61 years ago. Roger was an interloper with the Yankees, having come over from Kansas City the year before. In New York, this was Mickey Mantle's team. Everybody loved the Mick. Everybody seemed to somehow resent Roger. And that's how it played out. 1961 was an expansion year in the American League. The Los Angeles Angels and the Washington Senators were stocked from American League teams only, which diluted the talent in what was then still called the junior circuit. The schedule was increased by 8 games to 162, where it stands today. This all combined with the fact that Maris was the reigning American League MVP, had hit 39 home runs the year before, and Mantle led the league with 40, had baseball anticipating an assault on Babe Ruth's long-standing record of 60, set 34 years before. The race was on, and it did not disappoint. Maris hit only 1 home run in April, but by the end of August, he had 50. Mantle, batting behind Roger in the lineup, had 46 heading into September. Everyone chose sides, and they all chose Mickey. Outgoing, charismatic, engaging, everything that Maris, through no fault of his own, was not. Late in the season, Mantle with 54 home runs went down with a hip infection. Maris was left to contend with the pressure of chasing that record alone. He was losing his hair. He didn't sleep. He was resentful that no one in New York wanted anyone other than Mantle to break Ruth's record. He became sullen. Maris hit number 59 in game number 154. There was talk that Ruth's record would be allowed to stand because Roger played 8 more games. In his second at bat in the final game of the year, Maris hit number 61 in a 1-0 win over Boston. Mantle helped force him out of the dugout to take a curtain call. What should have been cause for celebration became a curse. Injury-ridden, Maris never hit more than 33 in a season thereafter. In 1966, he requested a trade and was sent to St. Louis. Of breaking the record, Maris said, "The last 6 years in the American League were hell for me. I was drained of all my desire to play baseball." Roger Maris died of cancer at the age of 51 in 1985. Humble to the end, a year before his death, he was approached about creating a Roger Maris museum in his hometown. He agreed, with 2 stipulations: that it be readily accessible and free. I've been there. It makes a trip to the West Acres shopping mall, a few miles from where he is buried in Fargo, North Dakota, worthwhile. His is the ghost the Judge is chasing. That is Unfinished Business, and that is our show. Perhaps more than you needed to know of Roger Maris, but a tragic figure. I think he's fascinating.
Yeah, I love it. What is it, 61 Asterisks? I love that movie. Great movie.
And it's great. You can go see all about him in his museum and get a pretzel. at the mall next to Orange Julius.
In North Dakota.
Fantastic.
Yes. And thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week with the Rochester Press Box.